$67,000. That's what you've saved. 3 years of discipline. 3 years of packed lunches and skipped vacations and moving money every payday before you could convince yourself you needed something else. And right now, right this second, your mom is on the phone. Stop throwing money away on rent. You need to buy a house. You've heard it at Thanksgiving. You've heard it from your coworker who bought last spring and now can't stop mentioning his equity. You've heard it from your neighbor who just posted photos of the backyard renovation, the one she put on a home equity loan, but nobody mentions that part. Your lease is up in 60 days. You are 29. You have $67,000 saved. And the pressure, the social, cultural, generational pressure to buy, has never been louder than it is right now. Here's what you don't know yet. The decision you make this month, the one everyone around you is telling you to make, will determine what your life looks like at 44. Not just your bank account, your life, where you live, what you can do, who you become, what opportunities you're available for when they arrive. And the version of you who makes the right call tonight, they won't know it was the right call for years. That's the part nobody tells you. The consequences of this decision are invisible at the moment you have to make it. So let's make them visible. 2 versions of you. Same starting point. Same $67,000. Same job. Same city. Same 29 years old, standing at a crossroads with a lease expiring and a phone full of opinions. One version listens to everyone around them. One version listens to the math. Same starting point, different life. Let's follow both all the way to 44. Version 1 of you buys. March 2025. You find a house for $320,000. 3 bedrooms, good school district, a yard. It feels like the life you were supposed to have. Your heart says yes before your spreadsheet ever opens. Down payment, $64,000. Gone. Your entire savings, 3 years of discipline wired out on a Tuesday afternoon. You stand in the empty house after closing. You feel proud and terrified in the same breath. You take a photo of the empty living room and send it to your mom. She cries. You cry a little too. Monthly mortgage, $1,740. That's at 6.8%. You lock in. But here's what the bank doesn't tell you at the closing table. Property taxes, $330 a month. Homeowner's insurance, $140 a month. HOA fees, $80 a month. And the maintenance rule. Every homeowner eventually learns budget 1% of your home's value per year for repairs. On a $320,000 house, that's $267 a month. Not a theoretical number. Real money for real things that will break on real schedules. Your actual all-in monthly housing cost, $2,557. You were paying $1,450 in rent. That is $1,107 more every single month for 30 years. You tell yourself you're building equity. You are, technically. But equity isn't cash. You cannot invest equity. You cannot move equity. You cannot use equity to take a new opportunity in a different city. 6 months in, November. The furnace dies on a Thursday night. Temperature drops to 38 degrees by morning. You call 3 HVAC companies. The earliest available is Saturday. $4,200. You don't have a separate emergency fund. Your emergency fund was the down payment. You put it on a credit card. You tell yourself you'll clear it by spring. You don't. Life gets in the way. The roof. The inspector said it had a few good years left. He was being generous. $6,800. You open a second credit card with a 0% promotional rate. You feel like you're managing it well. You are not managing it well. You are borrowing from tomorrow to pay for today. You finish the basement, not because it needed it, because owning a home does something to your mind. You start seeing potential everywhere. Projects multiply. A finished basement, a deck, a kitchen remodel that started as just the countertops and expanded. $14,000. Home equity loan. You tell yourself it adds value to the property. Maybe it does. You'll never quite know. Your investment portfolio. End of 2028. $3,200. The $150. $200 a month. You scraped together during the quiet periods, the months when nothing broke. 5 years since closing day. You stand in your renovated kitchen, granite countertops, new lighting, exactly what you wanted, and the house feels like yours. It is yours. Your name is on the deed. You can paint any wall, any color. You planted a garden last spring. You hosted Christmas for the first time. The house is worth $368,000. You feel wealthy. You tell people you've made $48,000 on the house already. But let's look at what you actually have. Equity, $68,000. Almost exactly what you started with. Because for the first several years of a mortgage, the vast majority of each payment is interest. The bank gets paid first. Your equity barely moves in years 1 through 4. Outstanding debt, $22,000. The credit cards, the home equity loan, money you borrowed to repair and improve, a house you borrowed money to buy. Investment portfolio, $4,100. Net position, approximately $50,100. The market dips. Your coworker, the one who bought last spring and couldn't stop talking about his equity, sells at a loss. You hold, you're fine. But you watch your options carefully and realize how little flexibility you have. Every dollar is accounted for. Every unexpected expense is a crisis. 10 years from the decision. The house is worth $412,000. Your equity has grown. On paper, you have $142,000 in home equity. Your investment portfolio, $22,000. You got consistent about investing in the last 3 years, once the house finally stopped demanding so much. Total net worth from this decision, after all debts are settled, approximately $144,000. You own a home. You built equity. You did what everyone told you to do. Now let's look at what the other version of you did instead. Version 2 of you does something that makes every family dinner uncomfortable for 3 years. You keep renting. March 2025. You sit across from your landlord and you sign another lease. Your rent, $1,450. You feel the weight of everyone else's opinion before you've even told anyone. You don't care. Or rather, you care, and you do it anyway. Before you leave that day, you've already made 3 decisions. Decision 1, $54,000 goes into a low-cost total market index fund. Not next month. Not after you think about it more. This week, before the money settles. Before the comfort of a large number in your checking account talks you out of doing something with it. Decision 2, $13,000 stays in a high-yield savings account. Liquid, untouched. your emergency fund, the one rule you don't break. Decision 3. You calculate the true all-in cost of ownership in your city, $2,557 per month. Your rent, $1,450. The gap, $1,107 a month. You set up an automatic transfer for exactly that amount, every payday, into the index fund. You don't watch it daily. You don't check the balance after every market move. You set it and you go back to your life. Your landlord raises your rent by $75. You pay it. No emergency fund disrupted. No credit card opened. You reduce the automatic transfer by $30 and move on. Your portfolio, end of 2026, $74,000. It grew while you slept, while you were at work, while you were at dinner with friends who own homes and complain about their HOA fees. Your company schedules a meeting you didn't expect. There's a director-level role opening in Austin, $38,000 more per year, full relocation package. The kind of opportunity that appears once, maybe twice in a career. The kind of role that changes your trajectory, not just your salary. Version 1 of you gets the same call. Version 1 of you can't go. You have a mortgage, a home equity loan, a credit card balance, a house that took 3 years of your life to make your own. Selling now means agent fees, closing costs, and a market you can't control. You smile on that call and say the timing isn't right. You hang up and go back to your desk, and you don't think about Austin for a long time because thinking about it hurts. Version 2 of you gives 30 days notice. You're in Austin by April. New city, new role, new salary. Same automatic investment transfer, larger now, because you redirected half the raise into the market before you could see it in your checking account. Your portfolio, end of 2027, $91,000, growing while you explore a new city. Austin is good to you. You rent a 2-bedroom near downtown. Your landlord handles maintenance. The AC unit breaks in July. You make one phone call. Done. By noon, you're back to your weekend. The weekend your counterpart in version 1 spent on repairs, you spent differently. That pattern repeated across years is not a small thing. It compounds, not just financially, in energy, in attention, in freedom. Your portfolio, $138,000. 5 years since the decision. You still rent. Your rent is now $1,680, $230 more than when you started. And you notice the number, but you don't feel it the way you used to. Because last year, your portfolio grew by more than $18,000 on its own. Your rent increase was $2,760 for the entire year. The math stopped keeping you up at night a long time ago. Your portfolio, $163,000. Something changes in how you think about real estate. Not pressure, not FOMO, not a lease expiring and a phone full of opinions. You just start running the numbers from a completely different position with $198,000 in investments, a clear emergency fund, and a genuine understanding of what homeownership actually costs versus what people say it costs. If you buy now, you buy deliberately, from strength, with real options, not because everyone told you to, because you chose to. 10 years from the same starting point. Your portfolio, $341,000. You may or may not own a home at this point. That is a decision you'll make clearly when you're ready, entirely on your own terms. But here is what you have regardless. $341,000, full liquidity, career optionality, the ability to move, pivot, or stop working earlier than almost everyone around you, versus version 1, $144,000. The gap between two versions of the same person, $197,000. Same starting point, same income, same city, same $67,000. The only difference, one version understood what the money was actually doing. So how does this happen? How does the same $67,000 become two completely different financial lives? Three forces. Force 1, liquidity. The moment you buy that house, you convert $64,000 of working capital into locked equity. That money doesn't disappear, but it loses all its mobility. It can't rebalance when the market shifts. It can't follow you to Austin. It can't be deployed during a market correction when great assets are available at a discount. Liquid capital is alive. It can be anywhere, doing anything, at any moment. Illiquid equity is valuable, but it's trapped. It moves at the speed of real estate transactions, not at the speed of opportunity. The financial world rewards people who can move quickly. Illiquid assets make that nearly impossible. Force 2, hidden costs. The mortgage payment is the number everyone compares to rent. But real homeownership costs include property taxes, insurance, HOA fees, maintenance, unexpected repairs, and the invisible pull of improvement, the projects you would never have started if you didn't own the space. Research consistently shows homeowners spend between 1.5% and 3% of their home's value per year on maintenance and upgrades, often without fully tracking it. On a $320,000 home, that's $4,800 to $9,600 every single year. That number never appears in the rent versus buy comparison most people make at the kitchen table. It is the cost that makes ownership significantly more expensive than the mortgage payment alone suggests, and why the real monthly gap between owning and renting is almost always larger than people expect. Force 3, opportunity cost. This is the number nobody calculates. This is the number that creates the $197,000 gap. $64,000 down payment invested at the market's historical average of approximately 8% annually over 10 years, $138,000. $1,107 a month. The difference between owning and renting, invested consistently over 10 years, $193,000. Total foregone growth, $331,000 in capital. That version one of you never built because it was locked in walls, spent on maintenance, or simply never invested at all. Now, this is not an argument that renting is always better than buying. It is not. Real estate builds equity. Appreciation is real. Stability has value that doesn't appear on a spreadsheet. For many people, in many markets, at many moments in their financial life, buying is absolutely the right decision. But there is a myth that has cost an entire generation hundreds of thousands of dollars. Renting is throwing money away. Rent is not thrown away. Rent buys you flexibility. Rent buys you liquidity. Rent buys you the ability to take the Austin roll when it arrives. Rent is the price of optionality. And optionality, at the right moment in your financial life, is worth more than any countertop you put in your kitchen. The question is never, Is renting or buying better? The question is, what does your life look like if you do this versus if you don't? What do your specific numbers say in your specific city, at your specific savings rate and income level? And what opportunities become available or disappear forever on the other side of this decision? Maybe you recognize yourself in version 1. Maybe you already bought. Maybe you're looking at your equity number right now and calling it wealth. Maybe you're wondering why, despite doing everything right, despite owning a home and building equity, your investment account is still small and your financial flexibility feels thin. Maybe you're version 2, still renting, still absorbing the comments at Christmas, still explaining yourself to people who are completely certain you're making a mistake. Here's what you need to hear. The house is not the mistake. Buying a house before you've rebuilt your emergency fund. Buying before your investment accounts have any real foundation. Buying in a market that prices you out of investing anything meaningful alongside the mortgage. Buying because everyone around you is doing it, and your lease expires in 60 days and you're 29 and it just feels like what you're supposed to do next. That's the mistake. A home can absolutely be part of a wealth-building strategy. The right home, at the right time, in the right market, with the right financial foundation, it can be one of the best decisions you ever make. But it cannot be the whole strategy. And it cannot be a decision made from pressure, from fear, from a lease expiring and a phone full of opinions. Version 2 of you didn't give up on home ownership forever. They gave up on home ownership at the wrong time, for the wrong reasons, with the wrong preparation. And 10 years later, with $341,000 in investments, a full emergency fund, and a clear picture of exactly what ownership costs, they can buy that house from a position of strength. Not obligation, not anxiety, not a furnace emergency on a credit card at 11 p.m. Choice. Same starting point, different life. You know what you need to do. The question is, which version of you are you going to be? See you in the next one.